will now call the order the special meeting of the Texas Southmost College Board of Trustees College District. Trustees present are, I can see Ms. Delia Saenz, I can see Adela Garza, I can see Ms. Alejandra Aldrete, I can see Dr. Zabaleta, I can see Alejandro, I can see, I think that is it, myself, and President Jesus Roberto Rodriguez. I'll call on Dr. Zabaleta to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
All right, thank you. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of
the United States of
America,
America
and
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Dr. Zabaleta.
Thank you.
Any public comments, item number 3?
No, sir, no public comments.
Okay, thank you so much. Item number 4, Finance Committee. I'll call Ms. Garza to present the item.
Give me 1 minute because I can't find my notes. I know that Ms. Carr sent them to me, but I can't seem to find them. Oh, I got them. Thank you. I appreciate that. The Finance Committee met via Zoom and was Ms. Eva Alejandro, President Rodriguez, and College Legal Counsel. The committee discussed the following items.
Ms. Garza, you're frozen.
Okay.
Ms. Garza? Will Claudia, are you there?
Yes, sir,
Claudia,
I'm here.
will you call her on the phone and ask her to log in through her phone,
Yes, I'm dialing right now, sir.
please?
Yes, sir.
Do you want me to continue?
Please.
The Finance Committee met via Zoom on Monday, July 12, 2021. Present with myself, Eva Alejandro, President Rodriguez, and our chair, Adela Garza. The committee discussed the following items. 4A, consideration and possible action on creating the Clean Slate Scholarship to pay for fall 2020 and spring 2021 student outstanding balances. We'll call on Dr. Figueroa to present this item, please.
Thank you, Ms. Alejandro. Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
members of the board, President Rodriguez, before you have this item, which is consideration and possible action on creating the Clean Slate Scholarship. As you might recall, during this COVID-19 pandemic, that's brought many financial challenges to our students and our community as a whole. The Texas Southmost College Board has been very forward coming with the different initiatives to allow our students to come back to school and minimize the amount of debt that they have. Some of those initiatives, as you might recall, are the Take 6 on Us and the 20% discount scholarship. But even with that, we have a total of 803 students that during the fall and spring semester accrued some type of balance. There is, as you might recall, we also had the American Rescue Plan grant, CARES 3, with the amount that has $7.5 million for the institution. Out of these funds, one of the allowable expenses is to give scholarships to students with outstanding balance due to the effects of the pandemic. So this item for your consideration is to create that Clean Slate Scholarship that will help those 803 students that have balances from fall 20 and spring 2021 to pay off any outstanding debt and start clean on their next semester.
And what is the total dollar amount that represents?
It's about $452,000.
Okay. And we have that coming in from the federal government, is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. And so these 803 students, once their debt is forgiven, they're totally forgiven for all debt that they have, including possibly parking or other liability. Is that correct?
Anything from the fall of 2020 and spring of 2021, yes.
Okay. we're not going back beyond that?
No, sir. The grant parameters does not allow us to go beyond that.
I see. All right. Thank you.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
With that, I move that we approve the creation of the Clean Slate Scholarship to pay for fall 2020 and spring 2021 student outstanding balances.
I second.
that.
I'll second that motion, but I have a question if I may.
There's a second, there's a motion and a second. Questions now.
Thank you. I'm wondering, Mr. President, is Mr. President there? He's got to be there.
Yes, sir.
Yes, there he is. Do we have any not that we want to brag about this, but do we have any plans to advertise this to the community as just another one of many positive things that we do for the community and for our students?
Absolutely, sir. We've got an article locked and loaded, waiting for the approval for the board so we can send it out to the media to let them know that the board, hopefully, we were hoping to approve it and let the community know what we're doing, not only with this, but all the wonderful work that we've done since spring of 2020.
That's wonderful. I wonder, has anybody else heard the RASPA advertisement? Yes?
No.
No? It's I've heard it in both, and yeah, Alejandra has. Must be Night Owl. I listen to it both in English and Spanish after midnight on radio, and it's very attractive, very, very nice.
Wonderful. We're trying to do our best to stand out from all the other commercials and keeping it with a local flavor.
It's outstanding.
Thank you. I'll share that with the group. They did a phenomenal
Please
job.
do that. Please do that.
There is any other comment?
Mr. Chair, if I may, Dr. Zabaleta and I were visiting.
I think we lost Ms. Garza again.
Okay.
Okay, let's see if Claudia, can you bring her on? Is that her phone or is she logging into her computer?
I believe she has a poor connection. Let me double check with her, sir, and with Mr. Hernandez.
She could log on with her phone. Maybe she's got better connection with her phone. Any other discussion, Ms. Alderete?
No, sir.
I'm glancing through my computer to see who else is present.
You see Mr. De Leon?
I don't see Mr. De Leon.
No.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item? Being no further discussion, I will take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Item 4B, consideration and possible action on approval of budget amendment 21-007 to fund ITech roof renovation. Again, Dr. Figueroa, could you please present?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Alejandro. Chair Herrera, members of the board, President Rodriguez, before you, we have an item which is a consideration and possible action on the budget amendment 2107 for the ITech roof renovation. This project, we brought it before with updates on where we stand. We went out for an RFP to find a vendor and tell us the approximate price of doing that roof renovation, what is known as the dealer's roof. The contractor came back with the responses, and because of the current market volatility on pricing of construction, they gave us a short term on when can they hold the price. The item will be later in this board meeting presented with that full RFP. This is the budget amendment to approve the $3.1 million, which is the cost of that roof from the fund balance if the board were to approve that RFP project.
What was the amount again?
$3.1 million, sir.
Okay, thank you.
This is the roof only.
That is correct, sir. The roof, well, it includes the roof, the abatement that it's needed, as well as some structural damage that the building has.
And
So
this
it will
is ju-
leave,
Go ahead, please.
it will leave the envelope of the building ready for future use.
That's good. Is this just the Dillard's roof?
Yes, sir. That is just that dealer's roof.
Thank you.
With that said, move that we approve budget amendment 21-007 for fiscal year 2021 as presented.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, go ahead.
There's a second by Ms. Sines. Any discussion on this? Ms. Sines, Ms. Alderete, Ms. Alejandro? Being no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries.
4C, consideration and possible action on passing a resolution to designate officer to calculate the no new revenue and or voter approval tax rate for tax year 2021. Dr. Figueroa?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Senate Bill 2 made some changes last year where the taxing district now has to, the governing board of the taxing unit has to designate an officer to calculate the non-new revenue and voter approved tax rates for the next fiscal year. And they require that the governing board does it via resolution. So before you, for your consideration, have the resolution to designate me as the officer to calculate that new non-new revenue and voter approval revenue.
Okay, please state your name. Who's me?
Gisela Figueroa,
Thank you.
the Chief Financial Officer for the college.
Thank you.
So I propose that we approve resolution to designate officer to calculate the no new revenue and or voter approval tax rate for tax year 2021 being Dr. Gisela Figueroa.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I second that.
There's a second by Ms. Alderete. Any discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries.
4D, consideration and possible action on approval of the proposed tuition and fee schedule for fiscal year 2022. Dr. Kyle, would you please present? And Dr. Figueroa.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Dr. Kyle, would you like me to share the screen?
That would be great. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. With your permission, I'll be sharing the screen with the tuition and fee schedule. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Before you have the changes that we're proposing for next fiscal year, effective fall of 2021, fiscal year 22, that we've done to our tuition and fee schedule. Our tuition and general fees will incur no changes. The only changes start being on the course fees. This course fees are added and there are certifications that the student will be receiving upon completing of those courses. Dr. Kyle may expand on the different industry certifications for you. What you see in green, it's the price of that test. The district, the college is not making any money out of these. It's just a pass through to those agencies for the student to get those different certifications.
Okay. Good.
In addition to that, we are reducing the architecture differential tuition fee program from $35 to $20. And we're also making some changes into the program fees for respiratory care and vocational nursing. The ones you see striked out in red are being currently deleted. So it's being exchanged to what the new program fees will be. And on the last page, we also have some changes to the insurance. Although we're not changing the price, we are adding programs to the liability insurance. In this case, is the ones that are bolded in this in the fee schedule, which is the accounting technology, the commercial and residential electrician, computer and information system, computer aid drafting technology. So those are additional programs that will also be charged that insurance fee. We're also adding 2 programs to the liability insurance for health professions, which is the certified nurse assistant and the medical office management. And the brand new fees that are added in this category include, as you might recall, we purchased some kiosks with computers that the students are going to be able to borrow once they come onto campus. If they do not return those laptops, they will be incurring these fees, which is the cost of replacing that item that is not returned or stolen, as well as some late fees. In addition to this, we have on the workforce area, the new classes that we did not have before, like the macro forensics photography, nurse aid courses, material handling rigging. These are some of the welding classes, pipe fitting classes. And there's some echo. And other new trades that are being, we're able to offer now due to the renovation of the labs. And again, Dr. Kyle is available for any specific questions on either these courses or the program fees.
Let me ask you one thing, Dr. Figueroa.
Yes, sir.
Are we increasing in any way, shape, or form any of these fees that are going to have an impact, an economical impact on any student?
So the fees that are increasing are
that we are
the course
benefiting.
fee for the students that will take in those courses. The difference that it's making at this point is that if we do not attach them to the course, financial aid will not cover those fees for them, right? And then they will have to pay for those out of pocket at the end of the semester. So by having these fees attached to the course fee, it allows for the student to pay those certifications in front and be able to utilize financial aid.
Let me ask you this. In the past, how was it done?
The students will have to come with the money out of pocket at the end of the semester after they finish the class.
This is all the time before this semester.
All the time before this semester for these additional ones. The ones that are over here under the course fee in white, those were already there.
Okay.
So we're adding certifications.
So I move to approve the proposed tuition and fee schedule effective fall 2021.
There is a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
There's a second by Ms. Sines. All those in favor?
I have a question.
Any questions? Yes.
Yes. My question, Gisela, is, are all of these fees, especially the ones that are changed, in line with what is charged at other community colleges? There's nothing that's out of line here.
No, sir. Our tuition is still the most economical from the Rio Grande Valley institutions. And these course fees, it's exactly what the industry charges. We're not putting a surcharge on it.
There you go. Thank you very much.
There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
4E, consideration and possible action on approval of budget amendment 21-008 to fund the TSC courthouse and criminal justice program new space. Dr. Figueroa?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Alejandro. Before you have this consideration and possible action for budget amendment to 21-008. This amendment, similarly to the prior one, is for a project. In this case, is the courthouse and criminal justice program building. We know it today as the music building. Back in March of 2020, we brought this RFP to the board for approval, and the board approved the RFP to a construction company contingent upon the funding being raised by the college and the foundation. Because of the pandemic, those reaching out to potential donors was delayed. At this point, we're bringing this project to you for consideration. We did reach out to the vendor that had originally been awarded by the board back in March to see if they were still willing to continue with the project, given that it's a little bit over a year. They stated that they will still want to do the project, with the exception that they also will need $20,958 additional because of the price of raw material
That's right.
to cover for that. The $474,032 we're requesting in this budget amendment will include the building renovation, the furniture and equipment that will be going into that the courthouse in criminal justice program, as well as a contingency fund that will be utilized only in case there is any unexpected changes in work orders once we open walls.
Thank you.
So I propose that we approve budget amendment 21-008 for fiscal year 2021 as presented.
There's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
I believe there is a report on IT expenditures for the past 2 years. Dr. Figueroa, Mr. Luis Villarreal, can I ask you to present, please?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. With your permission, I'll be sharing my screen.
Have Mr. Villarreal present, please.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Can you share the screen, Dr. Figueroa, and I'll present?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So this presentation was provided by the purchasing department and the finance department, as I'm not responsible for obviously for financial processes. So I'll do my best to explain this. The first slide that you see on the presentation is a list of IT expenditures that for fiscal year 2020, which would be fall 2019 and spring 2020, and fiscal year 2021, which would be fall 2020 and spring 2021. And excuse me one second. And as you can see, the total expenditures that came through the information technology department are summarized by commodity code. So you can see what was spent on particular computer printer supply lines in the financial system, contractual services, for example, to the the 2,026,000 is for the Elucian Managed Services contract for the IT services. You can see this aggregates the amount of money that was spent on furniture, machine, and equipment for the IT department, laptops, etc., for the IT department. But the predominant expenditures are in the area of software license fees, where you can see the $1,116,640 for fiscal year 20. That would be licenses that include things like the Microsoft Campus Agreement, Adobe licenses, and all of the instructional licenses that are used in the classroom for the various programs and departments. So that is pretty much everything. That also includes Colleague, which is about $450,000 of that, or a little less than half. And also the Canvas LMS system that we use for containing coursework for the students. And you can see telecommunication supplies. The telecom stuff is the telephony system. Telecommunication services, for example, is what we spend with Telespace. Testing software and supplies is in the testing center, but also somewhat on the instructional side, etc. You can see that total was $3,967,886 for 2020. Those are actual expenditures. Fiscal year 2021, very similarly, we actually spent less to date. And this is because, in part, we've spent monies on using the CARES Act, and also because we haven't completed fiscal year 2021. But same kind of deal. So contractual services and contracts, the $1,874,603, that's what we paid to Elucian to date, because we're not done with the fiscal year. So on and so forth. Software license fees, they'll be less at $1,032,000, but again, we still have to end of July and August to continue to pay out any renewals for software licenses that we have this year. Telecommunications services about the same. So these are the big ticket items: Lucian software licensing, telecom, testing software and supplies. Again, same thing. We spent a little more on that this year, I think, because we have more instructional areas. But to date, that's $3,257,182. Next slide, please. Any questions on that slide? Those are actual expenditures. Yes, sir.
The question is the cabling. Dr. Zavaleta and I are
Yes.
That's correct.
sure that we spend money on cabling.
So we have spent, I know that this is the project for several $100,000, correct? So so down here, this was put together by the purchasing department. The cabling project that we did do was one that was begun before I actually came here, but I presented it to the board in May 16th.
When did you present it?
May of 2019.
You told us on last session, you told us you had not presented anything and you had not spent any money on this. Why is that?
Sir, I think the question was whether the recollection was that we spent some hundreds of thousands of dollars. We had not spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on any cabling project.
How much is this?
We have spent $39,372 on cabling throughout the campus in the last 3 fiscal years.
39,000.
Yeah, I do wonder, sir, because I do believe that you guys believe you recollect something. The only thing that I can think of that we presented to y'all was during a board retreat where we were talking about some future projects, and I may have talked about potential to recable the campus, possibly using some fiber optics, but just to make a distinction, and I didn't want to imply that we had done no cabling because we can't do IT without network cabling. But it has been what we brought to the table in 2019 was an RFP that we did to engage cabling vendors that could be used for projects that came up throughout the year. And we would have 3 different vendors that we could actually assign the projects to, as long as they met our technical requirements. We have particular cabling that requirements called panduit cabling that we used. And the board did approve those in 2019, and in 2020 it was renewed. And this surfaced again in May 2021, which is when I brought it back to get renewed I guess for the second time of 3. And then that's when Dr. Zavaleta and yourself brought up the notion that we had some big cabling project, but I do not recollect one. And so the purchasing department went through to see what we had actually spent with these 3 vendors, and this is what was spent. Now, some of this is because when we entered into the pandemic, obviously we weren't doing as much networking projects on campus per se, right? Plus SM Telecom, for one, discontinued bidding on the projects pretty much. So this is all we can find in terms of expenditures for cabling. I did not mean to imply we didn't do any cabling. We just didn't do it at the level that I think was implied.
Okay. Any questions?
No, I'm satisfied with that response.
Thank you, sir. In 2022, we will probably do another RP for cabling vendors, in case we do want to recable the campus, just to let you know. But this is where we are.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, may I?
Yes.
As we were exploring this topic, one of the things that was brought up to our attention, the major cabling project that did occur was, I want to say about 5-6 years ago, but that was through multiple institutions of higher education. And the only reason we know that is because Dr. Figueroa was part of it, of the TSTC project that included as well TSC and I believe the UTRGV. I don't even want to expand on that, Dr. Figueroa.
This had to do with the cameras and the locks on the doors and everything, as I recall, but I don't recall right. So,
sir, yeah, if I may, Mr. Herrera, that is correct, right? We did come to the board for the major maglock replacement and IP camera replacement. Now, maybe the use of the word IP for the IP cameras, which means they actually do, there's a network component to that, but it is not a fiber optic network component, and the cabling for that is a minimal part of that project. But that was a big ticket item. I mean, it was presented right, I think in end of 2019, right before the pandemic, actually. So that could be what y'all are recalling.
Perfect. Let's move on.
Thank you, sir. That
Does
concludes our
anyone have any
presentation.
questions?
This item was for information purposes only. No action is required. Also, I think someone requested a report on all institutional care expenditures. Dr. Figueroa?
Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to pull the report file. One moment. I'm going to be sharing my screen. This is a report that is brought at the request of the board to include all the vendors that we've done business through the CARES grant. I want to note that these includes all of the CARES expenses to date from CARES 1 and CARES 2. CARES 3, the board just approved our first institutional expense, which is the Clean Slate Scholarship. So that is not going to be listed on this report. This report includes the name of all the vendors and their address and what was purchased, the quantity, and the total amount on the last column. It's very detailed and several pages long. I'm not sure if anyone has any questions that I can answer with this report or about this report.
I just want to say that it was very well put together, Dr. Figueroa, and I know it was you or maybe, I don't know who else was involved, but this was, precise and to the point. So it's really appreciated.
It was a team effort, ma'am. It included purchasing and my office staff as well.
Correct. But I know that it was very detailed and very precise, and it's appreciated. All the hard work is appreciated.
Thank you.
Any questions? Dr. Zavaleta, you had some questions?
I have no questions. I'm happy with that report.
Perfect. Any other questions?
This item again was for information purposes only and no action is required. And this concludes my and Mrs. Garza's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Alejandro. Thank you, Ms. Alejandro. Would you continue to add and subtract monies to this report on a monthly basis and have it be a continued report until we exhaust the CARES Act monies, please?
Yes. Yes, sir. I will do that.
So as part of the report that you will have every month, you add or subtract whatever you need to add or subtract to this report. And that way we can keep a tab on what has been given to us and what has been spent and in what.
Yes, sir. Will do.
Thank you so much. Was that your report, Ms. Alejandro?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Next item is Facilities Committee. I'll call Ms. Hines.
The Facilities Committee met via Zoom on Monday, July 12, 2021. Present were Ms. Eva Alejandro, President Rodriguez, myself, members of the TSC administration, and college legal counsel. The committee discussed the following items. 5A, consideration and possible action on award RFP 21-15 for iTech Dillard's roof renovations. I call on Dr. Gisela Figueroa to present this item.
Thank you, Ms. Hines. Members of the board, President Rodriguez, with your permission, I'll be sharing my screen with the presentation on the RFP 2115. This is for the iTech Dillard's roof renovation, RFP 2115. The schedule of events, this is the RFP timeline. We started this process on the end of May after we had gathered all the documentations from our engineer. that is Mr. Gomez, which, by the way, he is on the Zoom call, and he'll be available if you were to have any questions. We can bring him over to the Zoom meeting. We received the proposals, and we're here today to bring in a recommendation to the board. Some of these pictures you've seen on the different updates that we've been giving month to month on the pre-proposal conference, the walkthrough, and the current status of that roof. The scope of work for these roof projects, as you know, what we know or refer to as the Dillard's building, it's a 2-story building. It's 113 square feet. It has 2 floors and a loft, and that houses the HVAC equipment. What it was included on this scope of work is to have the interior demolition, structural changes that are needed or upgrades that are needed, the abatement on the building, the roofing, the mechanical, to be able to restore that mechanical space and have it ready, as well as lighting equipment and plumbing. This scope of work will leave the envelope of the building ready for future use. The evaluation committee.
I'd like to correct you. That's 113,000 square feet, not 113 square feet.
Yes, 113,379. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Zavaleta.
Thank you very much.
The RFP committee that evaluated this RFP was Mr. De La Fuente, Mr. Pesaro, Dr. Joseph Fleshman, and Dr. Murad Abu Salim. The pricing tabulation that you can see, we had 5 responses on this RFP, and Siwa Corporation being the highest scoring firm and the lower cost. The evaluation criteria that we use is the normal that you see in all of our RFPs. That includes the pricing of the goods and services. The areas that are marked in green are where that company, in this case Siwa, scored the highest. The qualifications of the respondent and the ability to perform the services. I have here that these expenses are not budgeted, and if the RFP is approved, an amendment will be submitted, but that was submitted earlier during this meeting. Are there any questions?
Where is
for me or for Mr. Gomez?
Ziwa, where's their headquarters located?
Here in Brownsville, sir.
All right, good. Thank you.
Ms. Figueroa, Dr. Figueroa, did you say that Ziwa was the one who did the renovations on the Oliveda building?
That is correct, ma'am. They were our contractor for the student service renovation in Oliveda.
Thank you.
And we have the column that is labeled completion. I assume those are days.
Yes, that's correct, sir. That's the completion days that they're estimating for the project.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, I have the proposed motion is to award RFP 21-15 for ITech Dillard's roof renovations to Ziwa Corporation in the amount of $3,100,000 and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the contract as presented.
That is your motion, Ms. Sines, correct?
Yes.
I
There's a
second
motion
that.
on the floor and there's a second. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, I had a question. Now that it's been approved, how soon will they start?
The contractor, they only gave us 30 days to do the contract. So we are already into those days. As soon as the contract is finalized, Mr. Peña will be reviewing that and all the paperwork it's done. They will come in. So I'm estimating in the next maybe 3 to 4 weeks, maybe sooner.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Gisela, so therefore, Mr. Gomez is our representative on this project?
He is, yes, he's
Yes.
our engineer on board.
Okay, that's my
overseeing the
question.
project.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to 5B, consideration and possible action on RFP 20-08 for building.
Question.
I don't think, okay, we didn't vote on the other one, did we?
Yes, we voted.
Yes. Yes, yes, okay. All right, I continue?
Please.
Please.
Okay, consideration and possible action on RFP 20-08 for building renovation to house courtroom and criminal justice program. I call on Dr. Figueroa to present.
Yes, Ms. Science, thank you. I will be sharing my screen. As I mentioned earlier, in the meeting, we had that budget amendment for the renovation of to house the courtroom and the criminal justice program. This was originally RFP 2008. This, as I mentioned earlier, a little bit of history on this RFP. It was brought to the board in March of 2020. It was brought as an RFP with the contingency in the board awarded to RE Fredericks Company in the amount of $143,792. That was contingent on the foundation and the college raising the funds to do this project. Since then, the project was put on hold due to the pandemic. Recently, we did reach out to the contractor to see if they were still going to be able to do this project, since it had been over a year since we originally awarded that RFP, and they stated that they were still on board to do this project, but they will need an increase in price of $20,958 due to the increase in raw material from the original proposal. A little bit of background on this project. This will house the criminal justice program and court room. And criminal justice program is our second largest program with the college. It has about 400 students in there. It will house a paralegal studies program seeking the American Bar Association certification. And it will also be the law library annex to the Cameron County will be housed there, as well as offering of continuing education law courses for the community. The RFP original timeline started back in 2019 when it was advertised. As I mentioned earlier, on March 12th, it was approved by the board, and today is being brought with the updated pricing. This is the current existing music building layout, which will be the house of the courtroom and the criminal justice program. As you can see, it has a large room and a smaller divided rooms within that building. I might also remind the board that as part of the investment of the board on the roofing project on campus that we just finished earlier this year, this was one of the buildings that got a new roof and also changes or upgrades to the structural, because there was some structural damage in this building. So this is the proposed new floor plan for that building to host the courtroom, classroom space, computer lab, meeting room area, and a multi-purpose room, which is where the law library annex will be at. And it's also a furniture plan. These plans were done by our architecture students in conjunction or leading by Dr. Murad Abu Salim. And this is some of the drawings the students made under the direction of Dr. Abu Salim to simulate what will look the law library annex, the jury room, the courtroom itself, the courtroom bench view, the classroom, the paralegal studies classroom. In this scope of work for this specific project, it includes the demolition of some of the walls that are needed to have the new classroom and courtroom spaces, as well as put new flooring, tape and float, and flooring, as well as adding some windows to that building. This RFP was originally evaluated by Mr. De La Fuente, by Judge Recio, Mr. Guillermo Carriaga, and Dr. Kevin O'Malley. This was the original pricing tabulation when that RFP was awarded. And we had only two companies that actually bidded on this project. These expenses are not budgeted. Earlier, the board approved a budget amendment for this project.
And what was the name of the company again?
The name of the company is R.E. Fredericks.
And where are they located?
They're located in Fort Texas, sir.
Okay, thank you. If I may ask, Mr. Chairman, I think maybe a related question, I don't know, but what's the status of the building? I can't remember what it was called, but it was the religious building over on the street to the west, to the east. You know what I'm talking about?
It is the
Newman Center.
That Newman Center. What's the status with the Newman Center? Forgive me, Cardinal Newman.
It currently houses the safety and security offices for the college, as
Right.
well as offices that we shared with outside agencies like Border Patrol,
Yes.
DPS, and the city of Brownsville Police
Okay,
Department.
thank you, that's right. And I mean, even though they're related industries, I guess, they're separate. These two processes are separate.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Although I guess from time to time, the people that are housed there might want to come and use this courtroom. I would think they would, but that's, I understand.
If you were to take that proposal down, Dr. Figueroa, so I could see everyone, I'd like to make a comment on this. The majority of our students that are going to be using this classroom are criminal justice students. The plan is to invite all courts to come and hold court in our classroom, so it will serve as a courtroom, and it will serve for training purposes for our students in the criminal justice field, in the legal studies field, in all the fields related to legal studies. There is one little thing that was omitted. Basically, they're going to be handling criminal trials if we were to approve this and do this. And there needs to be a little holding cell with a restroom. I didn't see one anywhere. If you're having a trial and you have a defendant, when the jury breaks, when someone breaks, there needs to be a secure place to hold him while the court comes back to session. I do this every day, and Ms. Hines' husband does this every day. The courtroom needs a holding cell, a small holding cell. And it needs to have a restroom, a metal restroom that is unbreakable.
Yep.
If we do that change, sir, we'll need to go back to the contractor, because that will constitute a change both to the layout and to the construction of bringing an additional restroom into this building.
I would propose that we approve it as is. Talk to the contractor, and we will amend whatever cost is necessary. But you cannot have a criminal trial without having a place to hold a defendant while the jury's out or anything. I mean, you must have one. You can't put him in the patrol car. You can't take him all the way to jail and bring him back. There needs to be a small, it's a 10 by 10 if you want, a small restroom and a holding cell. It's the same thing, a holding cell with a restroom in it.
Fine with me.
So Ms. Hines, are you making a motion to approve this?
Yes.
Ms. Aldrete?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the increase of $20,958 to the original project amount of $143,792 for RFP 20-08 for building renovation to house courtroom and criminal justice program in the amount of $164,750 and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the contract as presented.
I second that.
There's a motion and a second. Ms. Aldrete, do you have any comments, any discussions?
No, sir.
Nada?
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
This concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Ms. Science. Next item is, do we have executive session today?
No, no,
No executive?
it's a special call meeting.
Okay. Well,
I don't have anything, Mr. Herrera.
that's good. Then announcements for proposed meetings. The proposed meeting dates are for first FY22 budget workshop, Thursday, July 22nd at 5:30 p.m. Second, FY22 budget workshop and meeting of governing body to discuss and propose the tax rate, Wednesday, August 4th, 2021, 5:30, and public hearing and regular board meeting to adopt budget and tax rate, August 19th, 2021. Any questions? Being no questions, item number 7, do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
So,
There's a
Second.
motion, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you on July 22nd.